Hello and welcome to Connect, the weekly podcast from the California MBA, featuring one-on-one interviews with movers and shakers in the mortgage industry. I'm Susan Milazzo, CEO of the California MBA, and very happy that you can join us today. Before I get to today's guest, I'd like to thank our 2023 President's Council sponsors. Now, these are companies that provide a tremendous amount of financial support for the California MBA, mostly so that we can maintain our strong presence in our state capital to be good advocates for the mortgage industry, both residential and commercial, before the California State Legislature and our regulators. So very appreciative of the financial support that we get from our President's Council sponsors. And this year, those companies are AmeriHome, Arch MI, Consolidated Analytics, Funding Shield, Guild Mortgage, Accelerate, Rocket Mortgage, and Western Alliance Bank. I want to thank these companies for their support that they've given us throughout the year. And with that, I'd like to welcome today's guest. I'm very happy to be welcoming Danny Garcia-Velez from MGIC. Danny, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Susan. I'm glad to be here.
I always like to get started with a little background. You are new to Connect, so tell us a little bit about your background and how you got in the mortgage business.
Yeah, and I'm so happy you also introduced me as a mover and shaker in the mortgage industry. That makes me so, I feel like I've arrived, like I'm part of like the mortgage cool kids club or something. Well, it makes me very happy. I am originally from Minneapolis. I grew up in Minneapolis. And as I was coming up and first starting in my career, I joined a nonprofit, actually, by the way, of Homeownership Preservation Foundation. And HPF was the name, and we owned and operated the Homeowners Hope Hotline, which was 888-995-HOPE. And HPF was initially started as a startup with GMAC RFC or GMAC ResCap for any of your members that remember GMAC back in the day. And it was there I joined. I was employee number 6, and it was my initial, I guess, introduction into mortgage. Most of my family had worked in mortgage as I was growing up, and I found myself, probably like most people, one day also just somehow working in mortgage. I needed a job, and there I was. And next thing I know, the housing crisis occurred, and lo and behold, however many years later, I'm still in mortgage. And I found an industry that I fell in love with. I found an industry that had wonderful people, and it was an industry that I knew I could build a career in. And so when I was at HPF, I worked on housing policy, and I had the opportunity to go to Capitol Hill and represent the interest of our industry and how we respond to the housing crisis and how we can, the role that we play in a response there. And it was really something to me around, like, this is a fantastic industry, and you can really grow and evolve and learn here if you just put in the time and the effort. And the career opportunities are really they're enormous, they're myriad, and I always tell a lot of people that younger people that I'm sort of mentor as they're coming in, either here at MGIC or other places. Like, I think mortgage, people look at it and they're like, I don't know, that's not that sexy. I want to go work at Google. That seems also very sexy too. But mortgage is really, it's very fun. So that's where I started, and I started working in housing policy, and really then got introduced into the manufacturing of mortgage and how a loan is made and how that gets carried, how it gets sold, and started, next thing I know is working very closely with the GSEs and with Treasury. And that led to some working on the buying and selling of NPLs. And then that found me somehow working in MI. I found my way to Milwaukee, which is where MGIC is headquartered. And I came out here for the interview in full disclosure because I have a brother that lives in Milwaukee, and MGIC asked if I wanted to come out. And I thought, yeah, like I'll take a free trip to Wisconsin. I'll go visit my brother But there's like no way I'm gonna work in MI. Like you want to talk about not sexy. Like I thought at the time MI had to be like the least sexy thing possible. So I came out for the interview, and then I get here, I call up my brother, and he said, I'm not even in Milwaukee this week. Like, well, shoot. And I guess it's probably for the best, because then I got to actually focus on MGIC in the interview. And I met the people here, and I met the company, and I sort of saw where the company was going, and the role that it played. And it seemed really complementary to where I was coming from, around building and expanding home ownership and trying to do that in a very sustainable manner, and learning more about MI and what MGIC had done and is about being the founders of MI. To me, it was really, it was a no-brainer to join. So I found myself at MGIC. I joined in the marketing part of the organization, and worked my way up to there to where I am now as head of sales.
I had this job in the financial crisis, and I remember HPF and all the good work that you guys did there. So thank you for that. An interesting entree to the mortgage industry. Not often that you find somebody that started during the financial crisis and thought it was a really fascinating, wonderful industry, because it was tough going there for a while.
Yeah, that's what you get for being, I guess, young and ignorant at the time.
And you make a good point about the mortgage industry, and I tell people this all the time, and we do this through, our Future Leaders program and through some other things we do, because I think when you talk to somebody outside of the mortgage industry about, hey, have you ever thought about a job in the mortgage business? I think most people think they have to be loan officers, and not everybody's a salesperson. They think that, oh, I can't sell anybody. I don't want to do that. But there's so many things that you can do in the mortgage space. It's really, it really could you could find something for just about all types of personalities, I think.
Yeah, that's such a good point too. I think when people hear, oh, you work in mortgage, they think you're a loan officer. And they're like, oh, well, I already have a house. Like, I'm not selling you a loan. And I don't know if it's something that we need to do better as an industry in terms of providing more education around the career opportunities that exist here. I can't speak to as much as what the industry does now on that. But it is an industry where the roles are varied, and it's an industry where really so much today, mortgage is evolving, and our industry is going through a lot of change and maturing. And part of that is because, due to the housing crisis, there was so much, we were, working on licking wounds and probably not evolving as quickly as we probably should have been, because we didn't have the capital or the time to do that during the crisis. Whereas now, I think it's a really exciting time to be in mortgage. There's a lot of evolution. There's a lot of transformation, the role of technology, the role that we play in trying to solve really complex problems, like, access to home ownership, affordable, the inventory crisis that we're facing. These are like really, really hefty, big problems that need to be solved. And I am a firm believer that I don't think they're going to get solved on, just on Capitol Hill. I think it's going to take, private enterprise to bring these things forth. And so I think it's a wonderful time to enter the industry.
And I think that, national MBA organizations like Access Lending Academy, MGI, there's all kinds of companies, I think, they're doing a lot more to market out all the opportunities in the industry. So I think we're certainly doing a better job than we were doing, 15 years or so ago. So you were in the MBA's Future Leaders program in 2019. Tell us how that impacted your career. I've heard that's a wonderful program.
It's a great program. And yeah, I guess continuing on this theme in terms of like education for the industry, it's a wonderful program. It is, I can say with conviction and confidence, the connections and the friendships I've made in the Future Leaders program, they're great. We text each other regularly. We wish each other, we celebrate each other's successes in careers. We wish each other happy birthday and Christmas. Going back to just what is great about this industry, it's the people. But also from a professional development, what you really learn in that program is there is a lot of time spent on what it means to be a leader and what it means to lead through challenging times, and the role that we have to play by trying to build consensus, but also by trying to think creatively, and how do you shift a paradigm, and how do you bring your team with you as paradigms are shifting and you need to adjust and evolve. So for anybody that's considering the Future Leaders Program, I would say you totally go for it. If you are thinking about it in terms of career advancement, if you're thinking about it in terms of networking, it checks all of the boxes. It's definitely one of the better things that I have done. And for anybody that's not, I guess, that exposed to more of what our industry does at, on Capitol Hill, or the role that the MBA plays in our industry, which is significant and invaluable, I would say it's a really good opportunity for you also to get engaged and understand more about sort of mortgage with a capital M. When you do the Future Leaders Program, you're building relationships, you're learning what it means to be a leader, but you're also learning about the role our industry plays in the economy, the role mortgage plays, and absolutely, I can't say enough about what the role that MBA plays there too.
They have a great program. That's for sure. 2023, of course, probably one of the more challenging years lenders have had in quite some time, going back to what we're talking about, the financial crisis. So how is MGIC working with your clients to help them navigate this market?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think when I think about this market, there's a number of challenges, and I sort of touched on them, I think, briefly already. There's an inventory crisis that's happening. There's an affordability crisis that's happening. There's also this, there's additional pressures that are applied on our industry from all sorts of places. But there's also this idea sort of that is probably manifested through consumer sentiment. How many consumers are thinking right now that I can't afford a home? And I think what MGIC does, and really through our core product, is partnering with our customers and understanding the role that MI plays in affordability. And to say, when you are able to use MI in today's marketplace, it increases the buying power for a consumer. It allows the consumer to get into that home faster, allows the consumer to get into that home sooner. And so for consumers that are sitting there thinking, well, my gosh, interest rates went up, maybe I'll never be able to buy a house, sort of my access to the American dream is being completely hampered, or I probably now need to wait however many more years. What we're really working with our customers on right now is a lot more education for their referral partners, education for their consumer base, education even for their loan officers around, this is still a time for you to be probably more active in cultivating those relationships with referral partners, or using, being creative around the role that MI can play on how to package, a specific deal and get that across the finish line. So that's one way. I'd also say we're actively engaged in trying to partner on affordability, and we're doing that through things like research that we've done here with local universities here in Milwaukee around understanding where affordability really becomes a challenge, and what is the role then of certain products that we can put into the marketplace that respond to that. So right now, it's a lot of partnership that we're engaging with our customers on around how do we navigate today's market creatively, as a team. We all benefit from that if we're able to put more volume into the system.
Those are great tips for what lenders what should be top of mind for lenders right now. Tell us a little bit more about Down Payment Connect, the MGIC tool. I think that should be a very popular resource right now for lenders.
Yeah, so it's it's not an MGIC product per se. It really is a product brought to the market by Rob Crane and his team over at Down Payment Resource.
Yeah, we just had him on Connect as well. We just had Rob. Yeah.
And Rob is a fantastic human being and a treasure to the mortgage industry, and what Rob has been able to do with Down Payment Resource. But Down Payment Connect, we have a long-standing relationship with Rob and his team over at Down Payment Resource. And Down Payment Connect was something that we worked on together to bring to the market. There's the Down Payment Resource product itself, and I don't want to steal any of Rob's thunder, but that's really more of an enterprise play for the customer, for the lender. Down Payment Connect allows individual loan officers the ability to access part of that curated database that Rob and his team have been able to put together around the active down payment programs available, and allows it's going right back to this idea that we were just talking about engaging with referral partners and putting yourself out there as a loan officer and really trying to re-engage. Down Payment Connect is just another tool for the originator to make themselves available and to really differentiate themselves in a kind of a crowded market right now.
Right.
It's a fantastic product.
Working with those borrowers that need the help, for sure.
Exactly right.
Yeah, we'll be welcoming Rob to the Connect podcast next week, I think. So it'd be great to hear about that product from him then. So MGIC has been a big supporter of the California MBA for many years, for which we are, of course, very, very grateful. I'd like you to share with our listeners why the company decides to support our organization.
Well, I said a little bit earlier thinking about national MBA, and I think the same thing applies to California MBA. Our industry is going through a lot of change, and I would say sometimes right now a lot of pain as well, for a variety of reasons. Thinking about the role that our trade organizations play in advocating for our industry, now is the time to continue to engage with groups like California MBA and National MBA. This is when those relationships and the role that California MBA plays in the marketplace is at the highest need. We need to continue to advocate. We need to continue to advance our industry forward. We need to continue to collaborate as an industry and think creatively around how we solve problems and how we again, navigate through what we're going through at this point. So that's for MGIC. That's where, the relationships we have with California MBA are, they're critical. They're critical to our success. They're critical to the success of our customers. And ultimately, they're critical to the success of our industry, but really the consumers we're trying to serve as well. We're all doing this so we can create home ownership, right? We're all doing this so we can put more consumers into that American dream, and groups like California MBA allow that to continue to happen.
Well, we greatly appreciate your support. Thank you so much. And Danny, thank you for being on Connect. It's been a pleasure having you.
Yes, thank you so much. This is awesome. And again, I'm happy that I'm a mover and shaker. I got to tell my mom.
Really add that to your LinkedIn profile.
That's right.
And thanks to all of you for joining us today. To access any of our past episodes of Connect, you can follow us on our YouTube channel. We're also available on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and Spotify. That's it for this week, and we'll see you next time on Connect.